Hello, hello, hello. Let's get some light in here. Happy Friday, unless it's your Saturday, because we do go all around the world. From America, throughout Europe, Australia, all over the place. Welcome. How you doing? Got a nice little fun episode today. So we'll see what trouble we can get into. If you're new here, I go live on Mondays and Fridays. Used to be Wednesdays too, but we only do Mondays and Fridays now. But on Wednesdays, I do upload a brand new hypnosis session to YouTube every single week. And you get the sleep version on the app. Sometimes on YouTube too, but some mainly on the app, which you can download right here. The app's changed a little bit since I created this graphic, but kind of explains everything. You got like free sessions, over 900 episodes, over 300 or so free hypnosis sessions. But also you get meditations, day and night versions, 4-hour sessions, morning meditations, I think I said that, audio programs, download, repeat, favorite certain ones, playlists, all of them, custom, all sorts. So you can get that at free hypnosis. Is it really dark in here? It feels dark. My hair's all crazy. My hair's all crazy. Hey Cheryl, welcome to the live stream on your Saturday, being in Australia. Welcome. Great to have you here. We have Jen all the way in the oh my goodness, the Scottish Highlands. Oh my goodness, I bet it's cold. Stay warm, Jen. One of my favorite cities I've been to was Edinburgh. I really like the history of it. Michelle is here as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Great to have you here. Mr. C is going crazy right by my feet, so he seems good. I'm getting better. My back. I went for a good workout today, so I must have been doing okay. And I was lifting heavier than I thought. For more, in other words. So that was kind of cool. But my shoulder and back are a little bit jacked up, but all okay. Thank you for asking. Oosh, cold. It is. I did the ghost tour in the tunnels as well. That was fun. Creepy, but fun. They have like active, real witches down there. Crazy history. But yeah, I really liked it. I liked Edinburgh. It's one of my favorite cities I've been to. Hey Leah, all the way in Australia as well. Welcome to your Saturday morning. I'm doing pretty good. Had a bad back. I'd like to say had because it's getting better. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Hey Mina, welcome back as well. All the way up more in the northern part of me. Would you call it Northern California? I would. I'm in the south. And anything which is above me must be the north. Because I'm in the south. Yes. Yeah, that's where, in the tunnels, right? Some weird history there. Weird history. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Is that regard to where I am now? If so, it's pretty warm. I've had my doors and windows, I say doors, my kind of patio doors open and the windows open. I don't know what, I think in Celsius is probably going to be about 15, 16 degrees where I am in San Diego. I think 60s in Fahrenheit. I think. Like, I didn't need to wear a jumper or anything. Yes, the North. I'm from the South. I live in the South. I come from the South, from Cambridge, England. That's the South. Yeah, I don't know what else to say regarding goings on. Went for some crazy cool hikes. So that's been good because I haven't been able to really run, but I wanted to exercise. So I climbed up. I think the elevation was about 600 feet. Got to see the ocean in the distance. So that was nice. I like hikes. Which is very different. You can't really go hiking in England. Sorry, I say it back. You can in England. In Cambridge. Cambridge is just flat. It is flat, flat, flat. That's what it's known for, just being flat. We have Castle Hill in Cambridge, which is our hill where there used to be a castle, and you can walk up it within like 3 minutes. That was our Castle Hill. Where here you got some crazy cool high hikes. Hey Med, all the way in London, in Richmond. Welcome. Told you we got people in different parts of the world. Recently we discovered that my work's been listened to in the Antarctic. I like the variability. Like I like the flatness of, like in Cambridge, from just based my experience, like all the fields. Or my mum lives in the Cotswolds, and that's kind of hilly, but not too hilly, but nice and green. So I like varying it up. Oh, 3 minutes before the show, I did this. It's not going to be that impressive. Look, I don't know if I've called it mist, but it looks like smoke. There you go. It's a cool little effect. I haven't figured out the right looping of it yet. And then this. Get a little moving effect. And then I'm not too sure about this one, because literally you can't see me, which might be good news for some people. Well, I've disappeared on that one, but I did like this one. You ready? I like this one. I like the fireworks. Thank you so much. Hey Mary, great to have you here as well. Yeah, the fireworks are my favorite. I like how they just go up. But I only did this like while the 5 minutes before the countdown. And I did delete ones which... We got this old one. Watch out for the pigeons. Let's stick with the fireworks for a second. Yeah. The misty moors. I said before, I went to the London West End and I watched the theatre play of... Is it Woman in Black? And that was like in the moors where they get kind of stranded in the house, the accountant guy. How do I do that? Well, I do it via... I've got a membership of audios, videos, and green screen stuff. So I download the green screen videos, upload it into Final Cut, add the layer of the Kia into it, which takes out all the green, which just remains the graphic itself. With this one, I actually put an effect on it. All that, I can't remember what it was, some kind of distortion effect. And then exported it as a alpha file, 444. I gotta make the sizes smaller. This one graphic lasts like 10 seconds, like a gigabyte. But there's another software I have which can put it down to about 100. And there you go. That's how I do it. Takes just a few minutes. It definitely is. Green screen. Green screen, green screen, green screen, green screen. Yeah, I've not gone to many players. My favorite ones are the Christmas ones. The Scrooge one. I went to see that in Old Town, San Diego, which is the first city of San Diego. And it's all super old there. Like the theaters, supposedly one of the most haunted homes. Whaley House. That's an interesting experience. But yeah, it's really cool there. Like, it's still kind of gas lamps. And it's very Mexican, just like real authentic Mexican kind of restaurants and things. It's fun. But anyway, it is 13 minutes past the hour. So we could probably get going. Sometimes it takes me about 20 minutes, depending on our conversations. There's the pre-show. Then we do the actual episode recording, and then we have a few minutes for the after show. And this main part of the show, not this bit, but bit will be happening next, will become the podcast. The #1 live podcast in the world with someone called Joseph Clough in it. Is that based on the movie around Winchester House? When the person just kept on building more rooms and it's like a horror? Is that the one you mean? Or is it based around that one? Well, sorry, I know it's real, but is that the real one you're talking about? I've only seen the movie, if that's the case. I feel like that was called the Winchester. Right, they just kept on building new rooms attached to it. San Jose, California. I can't remember. Yeah, I was right then, yeah. Yeah, I've seen the movie. I've only been to San Jose once or twice, and that was just a quick visit, so I didn't manage to go. I didn't even know it was there, to be honest. But yeah, I do know, I watched the movie. Hey Lois, your superstar, all the way. I was gonna say all the way in a certain different country there, but I know you're in America. Sorry you're late. Don't worry about it, it's just the pre-show. My back, though, is getting better. Like, I can do this. I can do that. I can do all sorts. Thank you for asking. Doing a lot better. I'll have to try and check it out then. Like, San Jose is quite far away from me, though. I drove from San Francisco once to San Diego, and it was like 9 hours. I'm sure it was 9 hours. And we were meant to be getting the flight back, but because my ex-partner had almost a ear infection, we were advised not to fly. So we had to hire a car and drive down. Long journey. For those who don't know, in England, our long journeys is like an hour or two. That's the worst. We don't want to drive too far. Here, it's not a road trip unless it's like 6-7 hours. Anyway, it's a Friday. And that means the weekend is upon us. And that means, for me personally, we haven't even put the auto camera on yet. For me personally, I've got pretty much 3/4 of the weekend off. Unfortunately, one of those quarters or a half is going to be looking into my taxes. But other than that, not much work. And next Monday, because I got it as a suggestion, we're doing a live stream on Monday on denial, which is an interesting subject. So I thought, oh, let's go into that. Go for it. Do it. Exactly. I've never been to Kansas. I'd like to go to Kansas. That's funny. Well, so you've made it intriguing, at the very least. Now we want to learn and know more about it. See? We want to know more. Your vagueness, your illusionary comment, the uphill or something, hooked us in. To go, we want to learn more about this. What is the uphill or something? Yeah, I'm going to have at least one whole day off. But then on Sunday morning, I've decided to do a mastermind with my brother every Sunday morning, and that starts this. So I'm kind of working a lot still, a little bit. Okay, we're at 20 minutes almost now. Yeah, where is this hill road? And does it go up? Does it go down as well then? And how illusionary is it? And what's the something? Oh, the bit of news, seeing you said that. Right now, on this channel, I'm broadcasting this live, but I set up another 24-hour stream. So we've got the Quit Smoking one there going live for the last 4 months or so. Same thing for the Confidence. But just yesterday, I think, Wednesday it was, 2 days, we now have a 24/7 manifestation. No, yes, it is. But it's miracles. Abundance, manifestation, miracles. All broadcasting live on the channel. I brought another kind of server stream, and that is now up and live. And I also released on Wednesday the day version of that one. And I think in a couple of weeks you'll be getting the sleep one and a 4-hour one. So, and we'll tap into it today as well. Sometimes my back literally keeps me down. Not for long. You ever had a bad back where you're laying on the floor and you can't move? Been there. Good. That's what we're after. We're going to do a little experiment today. We've done it before, but for those who either miss out on an episode, I mean, why would you do that? Number one, don't miss out. But for those new people, because we are now on the YouTube almost reaching 100,000 watch hours a month and almost 100,000 views per month. So we're getting new people. On the podcast as well, same but more. We'll just cover it. So if you want to just kind of remember it as you do the little exercise, I love it. That's going to kind of get us into today. And there's going to be episode 917. So with that, should we get into it? Let me do my cough button so I don't cough but drink. It is pretty awesome though. We're probably getting, and I say we because it's us, right? It's all of us. About 250,000 views and downloads a month. I don't know the listening hours. Podcast stats don't give me that. Only YouTube does video hours. Yeah, that was my cough button. And yes, I did yesterday. I hadn't got a haircut since I left for England in December, and I get one every 4 to 5 weeks. Very observant. Okay, let's get into it. So we'll just turn this music down for a second, and then we'll see what we gotta do. Okay, you ready? You ready? You ready? Ready? Steady? Let's have fun. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is going to be episode 917. And we're talking about the extraordinary power of your unconscious mind. You see, if you begin to, number one, understand the unconscious mind, and then get into rapport with it, you are able to harness it in so many big and wonderful ways. So the reason as to why you should be listening to this episode is if you want more extraordinary results in your life, things just to show up in known and unknown ways. Not through just woo la la stuff, which I love, but through really understanding the mechanics of the unconscious mind, this episode is going to be for you. So, what are we talking about when it comes to the extraordinary power, the untapped power of your unconscious mind? Well, let's just break it down a little bit, go into a bit of an exercise, and then go into some metaphors and some kind of ideas of what it is, and then how we can start to apply it into our life. So that means you get the results that you truly, truly desire. So, number one, we have our conscious mind and we have our unconscious. Some people will say subconscious. Well, however you think about it, I don't really mind. I always just tend to go for unconscious. But we have the conscious mind. What is the conscious mind? Well, that is you consciously thinking right now. That is you being critical in the observation of reality, the subjective of the observation of reality. So that is all the things you consciously do. Everything beyond that is unconscious. So if you can't let go of an issue, it's unconscious, like something else is running it. Your body is running and maintaining your organs, the heart, the healing, the walking, the talking, all the habits, the memories, the repressed emotions, which we'll get into soon. All of those things remain at an unconscious level. They maintain your identity, your beliefs, your values, your attachment to time itself, like how you are representing the time in memories and how you see the future, all unconscious. So we could say, and there's all these funny studies and they say, oh, we're only using 5% of the brain consciously. But I don't really mind how much that percentage is, but I think we can agree that the unconscious mind is running the show at a bigger level. Almost like as a metaphor, you have the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg that we see over in the water, but then deep beneath it, so much bigger, which would be the unconscious mind, that is the deeper part of the iceberg. So we want to take a deep dive into what it is, how we can use it. So that means we can make the unconscious conscious of our desires and get it to work for us. I always like to say the conscious mind is the goal setter, the unconscious mind is the goal getter. And that means we need to communicate in a way to get the unconscious mind to work for us. So that's really the unconscious mind, and that is how we kind of understand the conscious mind at a brief level. I could talk a day or two about it, but just that's the information you need to know. But how can I prove to you that the unconscious mind is very, very powerful, to the point where you will consciously be limiting your power? You see, the unconscious mind could be so much more powerful for you, but you consciously start to limit it. We limit the power of our unconscious mind by our expectations of what we think is possible. So if you don't think something's possible, your unconscious mind will just agree with you. Therefore, you are limiting your true potentiality. So have that in your mind, and I'll prove it to you right now. This is going to be an exercise that I would like you to participate. Now, right now, I've got a poorly back. And like on the last episode, I briefly had to say I had a bad back because I was feeling it really powerfully in the moment when I was doing it, but I was going to show up and do the live stream anyway. But I want to do this exercise, but if you have a poorly back in some way, be gentle or just don't really do it, okay? So that's my little disclaimer here, because we are going to be moving the body a little bit. And I'm actually doing this on Have I been muted this time? My mute button just went there. Okay, I'm back. I think I know why. So I'll have to make a quick edit on the podcast. So I don't know where we lost you, or I lost you for a moment. That's me. Remind me in the chat very quickly. Where did I get clipped? Where did it get clipped? Where did I finish off? And I'll just quickly edit that out and restart where we need to. Here's a great thing about the chat. Only for a minute. Talking about the poorly back. Okay. Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. So here's how I'm just going to do it. We're going to add in the last conversation. Here's what we do. We make mistakes. And then we'll go into the exercise. So here we go. So that is why it's so important to understand how the unconscious mind works. And we limit our unconscious mind by our conscious expectations. So if you expect things to not happen for you, your unconscious mind is going to take that on. It's just going to do it on your behalf. So you're limiting it. And I want to prove it to you with this physical exercise. Now, in the last episode, I was talking to you about, I had to let you know that I had a bad back. Now, because I was in a lot of pain when I was actually doing the live stream. It's feeling better, but the reason why I say that, this exercise, we've done it once before, but I always we get new listeners all the time and all those type of things. It's good for a little reminder as well. But for this physical exercise, nothing big, and if you got a poorly back, just make sure you do it gently or you don't do it at all. That's my little disclaimer. And I'm going to do this for those on the live stream, on the video. You'll see me physically do it, and I want you to kind of mirror me. But for those listening to the podcast or the app, anywhere else, I'm going to guide you through it in an auditory way. So here's what I want you to do. Ideally, I want you to stand up. If you can't, you can still do it in the chair. Sometimes the results won't be as big, but I want to surprise you of the power of your mind. So here's what I want you to go ahead and do. I want you to keep your feet firmly placed on the ground, right? So you're not going to be moving the feet whatsoever. And I want you to then physically put your hands out in front of you, almost like the hands are touching each other and you're just extending them out in front of you. So they're just out in front and they're kind of connected. And as gently and as effortlessly as I like you, or as you can do, I want you to begin to pivot round clockwise and notice where you can actually see. So you'd be kind of moving your head around at the same time and just notice how far you can go back. And your hands might kind of like untouch each other as you're just twisting around. And just have a visual marker as to where you are. And the reason why, by the way, I'm not moving my head at the same time, because I've got to speak into the mic as I'm doing this. And then gently bring those hands right back. Good. And then you can put those hands to your lap if you like. Now, the next thing I want you to do is just imagine this. Whether you see it clearly or not, I do not want you to do anything physically. This is just in your mind, okay? Just in your mind. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to close your eyes, right? So obviously when you were doing this, you weren't driving or anything like that. I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to only, not physically, but only imagine those hands going out in front of you. Okay, just imagine that. Those two hands are out in front of you. And I want you to imagine those hands going in the same clockwise direction to the exact point that you pointed to. Remember, there's just you imagining it, not physically doing it. And then I want you to imagine just going a couple of inches further. And as you go a couple of inches further, I want you to only imagine those hands going anti-clockwise, as if they're going back into the position right out in front of you. And then imagine those hands being put by your your lap or your legs. Now, with your eyes closed, I want us to do the same thing. Only in your visualization, your imagination, imagine those hands extending out in front of you, and imagine them going clockwise in your mind all the way past that point, going past another foot this time, and even 2 foot. So we're going beyond what we thought was possible. And then I want you to imagine those hands going all the way back into the same extended out in front of you, going back the way they came forward, and then going all the way down to your lap again. And once again, you get the picture. I want you, with your eyes closed, to imagine those hands going out in front of you, and then imagine those hands going all the way clockwise, all the way past that first point where you did it physically, a couple of inches further, then going maybe a couple of feet, and now you're almost going like 3/4 all the way around. All the way around almost. And then imagine them going all the way back the way they came, all the way around, and then out in front of you, and then to your lap. And we're gonna do this one more time. So imagine those hands right out in front of you, and this time as they go all the way around, past that spot, a couple of inches past, a foot past, 2 feet past, 3/4 all the way around, and then all the way back, all the way round, as if they've like gone in front of you. You've done like a total 100% all the way round, right? They're just, imagine you twisted all the way round, and then imagine those hands going all the way back anti-clockwise, all the way out in front of you, and then imagining those hands hitting your lap once again. Right, now go ahead and open your eyes. I want you to physically do this now. Now physically put your hands out in front of you, and then go ahead and begin to go in the same motion and notice what happens. Notice how much further you actually went. Isn't that weird? Just go ahead and test. See and notice. Now for some of you, it may be a couple of inches. For some of you, it will be even a whole foot further. Now, what is crazy about that is that you had the ability to do that any time that you wanted. But we only went as far as what we thought was possible, but only when you imagined it. And we did it in extraordinary ways, a couple of inches further, a foot further, 2 feet further, 3/4 all the way around, all the way I was trying to think of all the degrees when I was going through it right on that exercise, but all the way around, and then imagining it going all the way back. So we went there in the mind, and therefore your body unconsciously went there too. That is crazy. So this is a live stream, and we've got people saying, wow, yes it was, oh my goodness, that was an additional 45 degrees. So just consider that. You defined what you thought was the possibilities of what could be done. But when we went there in a mind and went beyond what we thought, your unconscious mind did so. That goes to show, just practicing that in your imagination, I wonder what else you could begin to do in your life. That is crazy to me. When you go there in your mind, you go there in your body. It reminds me of a story I read. I don't know if it's a true story, but this was about a couple, and they were in hospital where the lady wasn't feeling very well, and unfortunately she got diagnosed with cancer, and very kind of downhearted. The expectation wasn't going to be that long. It's going to be just kind of through a season, through the autumn and things like that. And the lady in this, I don't know, like I said, it's a story, but I think it may come from a level of truth, but you'll get the metaphor. The lady came to the conclusion that she was ready to give up and give in when autumn has happened, where all the leaves have just gone. Right? All the leaves are just gone. So when the leaves kind of turn red and orange, those beautiful colors, and then once all the leaves had gone, that was the time that she was willing to give up. Now, in this story, something interesting began to happen, because every day she would observe the leaves slowly turning from that green into red, into the yellows and into the browns and so on. And the leaves were just going to start to fall off the tree. And she could see it on the tree, and she was just kind of buying into it, like even physically. But the weird thing was, there was this one leaf that remained. And that was the deal, right? She had to stay on. And weirdly enough, that leaf remained throughout the winter. And as the winter came and went, the new leaves were kicking in. And she had survived farther than she thought she was able, and especially with that limiting belief, or her resignation, you could say, that once all the leaves had gone, that was her time. But that one leaf remained throughout, and so did she. Now, what is interesting about that story, number one, I'll give away the secret here. The husband actually made the leaf stay there, or like had a fake leaf. But what it was, it tricked her mind into thinking that actually she was able to extend her life. And she did. Once again, I don't know if it's a totally true story, but you'll get the metaphor that she had an expectation that once all the leaves were gone, that was her time up. And the husband, in a sneaky, loving way, not wanting to lose his partner for life, made the adjustment of that leaf. But she bought into that story. So even if we take it as a metaphor, what stories are we buying into that the unconscious mind is therefore buying into too? So if you have limiting beliefs and limiting ideas of what is possible, you are limiting the unconscious mind of its infinite potentiality. That to me is fascinating, that you can hold a belief or a theme. Maybe it's a theme around money, but it comes and goes as the root of all evil, whether all relationships are bad or whether it be about your health. It's a good thing to just wonder, just to be curious, of what stories you've been telling yourself that we've bought into that may not even be ours. We've talked about that before, that we can buy into what our parents told us or the events that we went through. I'm curious if you can start to awaken your unconscious mind, to awaken to something more at a conscious level, because your definitions, your viewpoints, your assumptions become your projections of what is and what is not possible. And going back to that exercise, we went beyond of what we thought was possible. We've got to realize that the conscious mind only has, I can't remember if it's millions or billion, but like a few million of bits of information. We break it down consciously that we're only aware of a certain amount any given moment. But the unconscious mind is almost millions and billions of data it is trying to deal with in any given moment. So the conscious mind is so small in what it thinks it can do compared to what the unconscious mind can do. And I'm sure you've even heard of things like the placebo effect, where they do these double-blind trials for medications and so on. One group will get the placebo drug, which literally could be just like sugar water, and the other group would have the actual medication. And therefore, they would test to see if that medication would work. And sometimes those who actually had the placebo drug, just the sugar water, were getting, and you can research it, there's very, very common. Those who had the placebo drug got better by just having things like the sugar water. So that means that the trial people actually thought what they were receiving was the drug to get better, and therefore that expectation caused, just even though it was nothing about the drug itself, because they didn't even have the drug, they actually bought into that story that it was the drug that was going to help them, and therefore their body began to heal. There are so many studies like that. One of the ones I really like is the one where they were teaching people how to play these keys on the piano. And I took this from Dr. David Hamilton, who used to be in the pharmaceutical industry, who's done countless of books of Hay House going into these kind of studies. And one of the stories he told me was kind of playing this piano keys like da 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 da. And over again, they'd physically do it and then measure the muscle growth by doing that action every single day over a period of a month or so. I can't remember all the details. And in the other group, they just imagined it. They just imagined. Just imagine their mind going da-da-da, da-da-da. And the studies, they're crazy cool, but it wasn't like they had the same growth. But the fact that they were imagining the fingers going da-da-da, da-da-da, actually created a muscle growth. Not to the extent of those doing it physically, but it still began to grow. And they even measured those who were observing those doing the piano keys, and guess what? Those observation people actually had a slight growth as well, more diminished based on my memory, but ultimately just observing people meant that they were actually starting to change their own physiology. Do you know what that means? We don't have to go to the gym anymore. We just got to observe people in the gym and we'll do it. Of course, I'm joking there. We still got to work out, but it goes to show that the mind is extraordinary in how it operates. And talking about placebos, let's talk about nocebos. Nocebos are like the negative effect of a placebo. There have been countless studies on this where doctors have said certain things and the person has actually bought into it a little bit too much. There's been times where there was one story, I cannot remember the date of it, but there was a person who met up with, say, a witch doctor, and they said they were cursed with this certain illness, and then the person bought into it so much that they manifested all these symptoms. And when they went to the doctor, there was literally nothing wrong with them. Another case was when they were, this is further, I think, beyond the internet, but the person was researching what they were symptoms they're experiencing. And as they saw, oh my goodness, I had this, he produced more symptoms and it was going downhill. He goes to a doctor and says, I've got all these symptoms and this is what I've got. And then the doctor researched it and it was impossible for that person to have that because it was only ever caught in like the rainforest or something so exotic where he would never went. But the nature of just looking up those symptoms in the book and then buying into it, expanding those symptoms, that is really what a nocebo is. We're taking things on and thinking they're true and the body responding to it unconsciously, which then goes to show again, what stories are you buying into that your body, your unconscious mind is reflecting as true? Remember, we are waking up to our personal stories that we tell ourselves. And then we've got other things of how powerful and extraordinary the mind is. From our intuition, have you ever had an experience where your intuition, that gut feeling, told you to not do something or to do something, and it just changed? Like it was one of the best decisions ever because you were trusting your gut. And we can go into like the interconnection of reality, but we can also go by your unconscious mind is observing so many more pieces of information of reality that it can maybe make better decisions. I've got a funny one for you, and there's my own story. When I was growing up, I had a bike. And we'd always bike to school in my area. It was like 20 minutes. And I was probably about 9 years old, 8 years old. And I was biking to school by myself. And I was made to wear a helmet. Now, I didn't think it was cool to wear a helmet. So every day I'd put the helmet on, get round the corner from my house, and I took the helmet off and I went to school. Now there was this one day, I had this weird feeling of needing to put the helmet on. And I did. Now, what happened next was pretty silly of me, number one. But that weird feeling, maybe once again, doesn't have to be crazy woo la la stuff. It could be just your unconscious mind tapping into something that we're consciously not aware of. But that day, I went head first into a parked truck. And I mean a big lorry truck kind of thing, right into the iron kind of grill of it. And I'm sure if I didn't have my helmet on, I don't know if I'd be here today. If not, I wouldn't be speaking about as elegantly as I usually do. So that is just one of my stories. And I've had lots of events like that where I've had a feeling, an intuition to trust something. And I'm curious, have you had that too? Have there been any experiences, even if you're very analytical? I'm sure there's many other experiences, maybe just one, that caused you to take a different decision. That can be the power of the unconscious mind. You have the ability to tap into it. You can go on the research of nocebo, the placebos, the those weird, wonderful stories of what we thought is possible, like even how our body, like we did that we did the physical exercise, but it goes back to like Roger Bannister, who ran like the 4-minute mile. No one thought it could be done. As soon as he did it, that record broke a number of times in the months later. So why didn't they beat it in the first place? Because they imposed what they thought was possible. Over and over again, we are always proving and going into the so-called impossible. And I want you to go into that impossible by being more open-minded, being conscious of your own limitations. So are you limiting yourself? Are your beliefs, are you denying aspects of what you think is possible? I think we are. I think the nature of the conscious, subjective viewpoint based on the experiences that you've gone through, especially the significant emotional events, will dictate your observations of what is possible. And you expect them to be that way. And when you expect, the things usually show up. It's like anxiety. You get so anxious about all the things that could go wrong, and then you start to kind of lean into it. But if we reverse the anxiety into expecting all the good things which could happen here, your unconscious mind will start to begin to expect and receive that too. So the moral of this episode is that you consciously could be really denying the greater possibility of your unconscious mind. And I don't know if it's like the weird and wonderful things, or maybe it's just your limiting beliefs of maybe not being good enough, maybe not being worthy, that stops you having that good, loving relationship, or allows you to have the financial abundance that you truly want, but unconsciously and consciously, there's a part of you which denies that. It could be about your health, as we've discussed. It could be about literally everything. But when you harness the unconscious mind, when you get into rapport with it and think of it as your best friend rather than your enemy trying to trip you up at every bound, you start to get back into rapport. Milton Erickson, who was a famous hypnotist, pretty much said that patients are patients because they're out of rapport with themselves. They've been so conditioned by the external experiences, they've forgotten how powerful, and there's me ad-libbing on top of this, they've forgotten how powerful they can be. And I know so because I've been on both sides of the equation, where my body, my physiology would blush at a drop of a hat or a bit of a social experience. My body would do that, and I don't do that now. I feel powerful and strong, and it's all about tapping into that wonderful potential. And if it leaves you with anything, it must mean there's so much more to discover, and that means whatever you think you are, you're always more. So let's go ahead into that journey of the impossible. Listen to the hypnosis sessions, because that is why they work, and you can get them on my app if you haven't got them already at freehypnosis.app. There are day sessions, night sessions, sleep sessions, 4-hour sessions. There are morning meditations. There are custom creations. There are audio programs, morning meditations. There's playlist functionality. There's downloadability. There's hearting them so they remain right at the top, so you'll go to. You've got the ability to simply transform your unconscious in every single way. And of course, if you feel like you want extraordinary results and personally want to kind of apply to work with me, of course, it is a far more significant investment because you're working with me and my team. You can go to josephclough.info/talk, but you got to be a professional. You got to be invested. You got to go all in. You got to go, look, I'm ready to do the work and make the change and go into the impossible and get the life that we deserve. In fact, just this past weekend, someone just said they 4x their income for the month just simply by doing the work. And other people love themselves, know they're worthy enough, and are showing up so many new things in their reality. It's so possible when you get the absolute custom solution, and you can apply at josephclough.info/talk. You don't have to though. It's only for certain people, and you got the app, you got the podcast, you got all the things, the YouTubes. It's entirely up to you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to speaking to you on a future one. Many thanks and goodbye. There we go. So, what was it? You know, I was doing my cough button. Well, I did the cough button when I was doing the auto camera. So now I've got to test each one. I can do it now very quickly. While you all let me know what you thought. What did you think? It's going to be one of these. Or maybe none of them. Maybe it wasn't, it was just I don't know. I'll check it back on the... I might have corrected it myself anyway. Exactly. That's a good one. Most welcome. Yeah, and I think when we wake up to more of what is possible, be the change. And great to have you here, Jen. Welcome. For being on the live stream, and have a most wonderful weekend. And thank you, Lois. Very kind of you. That story about me going at like 10 miles an hour or more into a truck is totally true. The one day I had a feeling to wear my helmet, I went straight into, it was parked as well, I wasn't paying attention, I was looking in a different direction, and just collapsed right into it. If I didn't have my helmet, I don't know what would have happened. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Cheryl. Hey, Nesta, absolutely. Better late than never, and you get the replay as well. Yeah, the biology belief is right down here. I've got the book. Why is his name forgetting me? I'm gonna remember it. It's gonna come back to me. Bruce Lipton. Bruce Lipton. Biology of Belief. Good book. You're most welcome. The question I had was, can the unconscious mind choose to reject hypnosis message, or unconscious mind more like a repository? Yes, it can. It will reject messages, learnings, or change if it is out of congruency with the message that is conveyed by the hypnotist. In other words, even consciously, if you're not liking the person, you probably won't take on their message. Like if you just go, I don't like this guy or girl, as a hypnotist, you won't do it. It won't also take it on if you don't consciously want to, right? So that's another thing. If you're like, if someone made someone go into my office and said, change them, and that person's like, I don't want to change. I like my issue. I want to be depressed. Like, even if that can be true, sometimes the problem has lots of these secondary gains, and therefore they'll stay the same despite the greatest hypnotist in many ways, because it's fighting it. And number 3 is when The present goes on from the second, but the unconscious mind thinks that what it's doing is safer than the new way. So I try to incorporate learnings and new habits and new ideas and belief systems which upgrade from the old, right? Because it's always trying to protect. But if it doesn't, it's going to remain the same. That's why if you just do like suggestion-based therapy, it's not going to work because you're not dealing with the real issue. But if you find someone who has an ecological level of all these different angles, the unconscious mind will go, huh, yeah, this is a safer way, and I'm here to protect, so therefore I have to, by nature, go to this new evolved way. So those are 3 reasons. 1 being they don't like the hypnotist, 2 being they're not wanting to change consciously, and number 3 is that the new solution, the unconscious mind doesn't think is safer. So it'll keep on doing the same thing. Hope that helped, by the way, Amina, as well. The 4-minute mile story reminded me of another record-breaking story I read about recently. The underdog Billy Miles won a gold in Tokyo in 1964. Oh, I don't know that one. I'll have to check that out. I like stories. Yeah, so that story came to me. Like, I said it in a very vague way. I heard that story 18 years ago at least, 15 at the very least, going up into the 18. And I'm sure it was a true story. I'm sure it was true, but because I can't vouch that it was true, I had to say it as a metaphor as well, because I don't want to say things which are misinformation. Yeah, that's true as well. The manifestation. Oh, and you've even got, what's the other one we didn't even include? Phantom limb. Is it phantom limb syndrome? When someone has lost a limb but they still feel their arm. If, for example, if it was the arm. Yes. Bit of my unconscious mind or something bigger than me looked out for me that day. Oh, nice, I will do. That's cool. Oh, that's so awesome. So pleased that you're getting value from my work, Cheryl. Very, very kind. So there we go. We've been streaming for an hour. Thank you for the help on the deletion of, or not my mind is going crazy. The muting of my mic. It was definitely from doing the, I think I did the cough button. Let me try this. No, it wasn't from that. Because it was a little bit in. I'll have a little check. And then have a little check on Monday as well. So, I hope you all have a good, wonderful... How strange. My fireworks aren't working. They've disappeared. The goodness. The goodness. I don't know that one either. Yeah, the exercise one's cool. There we go. I'm pleased I'm still able to teach a little bit more. I was playing around with that mute button. Do you remember I was going, I remembered my mute button. And then I think because I was on the auto screen, when it went to like this one, it remained muted. Just when I needed a mute. There we go though. Oh, my audio has stopped because I've been streaming for a long time now. So you have a good, great, wonderful weekend. I've got a bit extra work to do with the edit, but thank you for your help and reminding me when I start to get muted. I'll try and link those up smoothly. And I will speak to you all soon. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs up. Feel free to share. We've got, yeah, this is the now, and I'm unmuted. Cough button, cough button. Yeah, technically it's just a mute button, but professional studios have cough buttons, so I'm calling it a cough button. Have a good one, Mary and Leah, being in Australia on your Saturday, and I'll speak to you all soon. Many thanks and goodbye.